Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the fate of the opposition hangs in the balance as Ferdinand Marcos Jr. gets majority support in Congress. As the next Congress begins, who will form the Senate's minority bloc and an overwhelming supermajority, how can senators maintain their independence? Senator Risa Hontiveros joins us live. It's been a week since the proclamation of the 12 winning senators, and we have yet to see how the upper chamber will play out in the next Congress. Several names vying for the Senate presidency, 3 pairs coming from political clans, a couple of newbies, and an overwhelming supermajority. How will these affect the future of Filipinos and the Senate independence in the next 6 years? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Senator Risa Hontiveros. Senator Hontiveros, welcome back to the source, and of course, congratulations to you.
Maraming salamat, Pinky.
Marcos and Duterte proclaimed the president and vice president-elect, a majority of votes, 31 million and 32 million votes, respectively. You were there during the canvassing of votes for 2 days. What were your thoughts and how did it feel upon seeing them declared as president-elect and vice president-elect?
Well, it was our duty to be there. I was with my minority leader, Senator Frank, as his alternate, and we did our duty. We monitored the canvassing of the COCs and indeed observed, as the lawyers of VP Lenny and Sen Kiko earlier also manifested, that there was recognition on all our parts about for the result of the election. At kami ni Sen Frank ay nandun 2 araw at nakita namin na maayos yung mga COCs, yung 6 na nagka-problema, Pinky, because the COCs were not in the ballot boxes when opened by the canvassing committee. Their provincial or city election supervisors physically or online appeared and under oath swore that the COCs were genuine, and they were actually sent to the canvassing committee the next morning, the second and last day of the canvassing. So it was, as Sen Frank also told me, it was an historic transition. I had to witness it with my own eyes. And it's not the kind of transition I would have imagined nung una akong naging aktivista, no, as a teenager in a high school during the last half decade of the old the martial law dictatorship at that time. So right now, I'm really waiting, Pinky, to hear the inaugural address para lalo pang maklaro what will be the possible terms of engagement between the new executive and the legislature. Sigurado may mga elements from the past, but there will also be elements from the present to guide us or to challenge us moving to the future. Lalo na, palabas pa lang tayo, di ba, sa pandemic at saka sa recession.
Sabi po ni President-elect Bongbong Marcos after the proclamation, he said to pray for him. While they are not perfect, they will strive for perfection. I guess what I want to find out from you is, personally, what are your expectations from a Marcos Duterte leadership?
Well, my expectations are, against all odds that they will be able to confront, engage the unfinished business of issues that their predecessors perhaps were not willing or able to. Yung mga unfinished business from the 1980s, my gosh, 4 decades ago, unfinished business also from the last 6 years. At urgently, yun ang usapin ng really recovering from the pandemic and making our population and our public health system strong and healthy themselves and resilient. At saka uh, yung issue ng pag-ahon natin from the recession. That could really take several more years to emerge from. Grabe yung hinaharap nating possibilities of hunger, of continued unemployment and underemployment. Kaya napaka-importante talaga makabuo sila ng maayos, malakas at maalam na economic team. So these are some of the issues that I'm hoping to hear about in the inaugural address. Doon ako mas makakabuo siguro, Pinky, ng more solid expectation about this administration.
Fair enough. Cabinet post, let's talk about that. There have been additional names identified yesterday. In general, do you have or are you seeing any of them as good or effective secretaries?
Yes, I think right now maybe it's a mixed bag in the eyes of the public. There are at least several good men and women there na hindi man at the outset maka-expect ng full agreement on how they will handle their portfolios. Pero at least palagay ko magiging malinaw ang terms of engagement din sa kanila. And I believe yung iba't ibang mga sektor natin dito sa ating lipunan, especially the more organized ones, are already preparing and looking forward to engaging their respective secretaries. Kasi diba, kahit sa gitna ng pandemya, sa gitna ng kampanya hanggang eleksyon, the long-standing issues of the basic sectors of Philippine society did not stop affecting us and shaping for better or for worse yung mga scenarios that can possibly emerge immediately. So I'm sure yung mga sectors na iyon are also expecting and hoping that their respective secretaries, yung mga dapat na champions nila sa cabinet, will hit the ground running with them. And ako rin at kami rin bilang mga legislators, we will certainly expect and look forward to that.
Do you have any concerns on any of the appointments so far?
Well, it would be premature for me to say na I have concerns kasi though Pinky, you might guess I might have some concerns with some of them. I think it would be fairer for me and more productive moving forward kung intayin ko rin yung mga unang pronouncements nila about what their program priorities will be, how they will approach their new shops. Halimbawa, I appreciated the appointment of Sec Jokno. More than half a decade na namin siya naka-engage lalo na sa budget debates previously for DBM, and now that he will be helming the finance department, at the outset I would be able to say na I would appreciate kung ipakita niya sa DOF yung parehong siguro mas maluwag na fiscal policy that I think he tried to champion from within the outgoing economic team. Importante kung magkaroon tayo ng finance secretary na while instilling, as he said, monetary and fiscal discipline, I can also weigh in the cabinet on spending more and spending enough para sa hindi lang ayuda, maybe for a few more years, pero public spending to pump prime the economy at para bigyan talaga ng suporta yung ating mga kababayan to get back on their feet productively for the sake of our economy.
Who will form the Senate minority bloc? Senator Risa Hontiveros will still be with us after the break. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Senator Risa Hontiveros. It's been said time and time again that you are the lone opposition at the Senate. But first, I want to go to this. What do you think made you win? Bakit ho kaya kayo lang ang nakapasok sa Magic 12? What was the winning formula for you?
I think, Pinky, elements ng winning formula were really preparation, para based on what we knew of my numbers, pati mula sa surveys, we could plan our strategies and tactics, implement them, lalo na halimbawa sa mga regions na alam namin mahina ako, konti or walang taga-suporta. So we really focused, for example, on regions 1 and 2 and Mindanao. Paulit-ulit talaga akong pumupunta doon para magpakilala, para sundin yung suporta ng ating mga kababayan doon. We also knew and hoped that the Visayas would deliver for me. Kaya sa mga kasimanwa ko sa buong Visayas, damo gid nga salamat, daghang salamat. Also, I wouldn't be here speaking with you, Pinky, if we hadn't also focused on the so-called L2L or Lingayen to Legazpi corridor. So sa mga Uragon din, no, lalo na sa Bicol, no, salamat pong dakula. My core constituency, my party, Akbayan, our traditional allies, were the heart of my campaign. And then the many more allies that we reached out to for a broader unity during the campaign and really helped me. No? In the surveys, I did as well as 8th rank. May isang internal survey na I had a possibility to go up to 6th. Pero alam mo naman, Pinky, pag eleksyon, kampanya, may mga nangyayari. But still, since I had that buffer, I was able to hang on. Kahit muntik nang malaglag sa 12, I was able to hang on and come in at 11th.
What kind of opposition are you seeing in the next Congress? I mean, let's look into the 18th Congress. The minority senators were very much in tune, possibly same ideology. Senator Trilon, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, Senator Laila De Lima, Senator Risa Hontiveros. Ngayon po, ang matitira ay si Senator Risa Hontiveros. Although I want to talk about the kind of sino po ang maaaring pumasok pa sa minority. How different and how challenging is it going to be for you knowing that kapartido mo, kasama mo, yung mga minority doon sa huling kongreso, sa kongreso ngayon na matatapos na, going into the next Congress?
Very challenging, Pinky. Similar in some ways, but yes, also different in other ways. Yung mga kasama ko sa minority, led by Sen Frank, na silang tatlong liberal at akong isang akbayan, we were able to forge that ideological or philosophical unity, no, between our two parties all the way down to the floor. At nagawa namin kahit 1/6 lang kami ng outgoing Senate na maging epektibong minority, checking and balancing, fiscalizing, at the same time able to work within the Senate as an institution na may over a century-long tradition talaga, Pinky, of especially in the critical moments, standing up for independence within the government, among the 3 government branches. And maraming pagkakataon, we were able to make common cause with our colleagues in the majority sa mga magkakaparehong advocacy, right? Whether they were embodied in bills or resolutions or budget interventions. And I look forward to that similarity, that positive similarity, moving into the 19th Congress. Kahit sa outset, ako lang ang opposition senator na pumasok, pero I continue to remain open and eager to work with anyone in the Senate, including majority colleagues, in the same way na nagawa ko under this outgoing administration, kaya nga nakapagpasa ng higit 20 batas. Of course, the new element and the new context within which the minority will form ourselves and work is again a very strong majority a large majority, not just in the House, of course, but also in the Senate. So, kaya ang importante sa akin, makabuo kami ng tunay na minorya. Gaano man kami kaliit, di ba? O gaano man a little bit bigger. But to carry on, as a responsible minority, ako bilang responsible opposition, to continue to play those essential roles in any democracy, lalo na contested democracy tulad natin, as Nathan Kimpo describes us, and at the same time, manatiling productive legislatively. Kasi marami pa akong gustong isulong din na batas sa agendang healthy buhay at hanap buhay.
But can you tell us about the status on talks with possible members of the minority? What can you tell us so far? There are names that are coming out, possibly Cayetanos, Pimentel, maybe even Joel Villanueva, maybe even Nancy Binay. Have you spoken to any one of them? And again, what is the status of the talks?
Well, Pinky, I've spoken especially to Sen Coco, and I'm glad that we're both strongly inclined to form a minority together. Now, I can't speak for him here, but I'm glad na productive yung unang pag-uusap namin. We're setting a next one kasi medyo matagal pa to, a couple of months before the next SONA, and before we formalize the minority and before the majority also formalizes itself and the Senate leadership is elected. So in the meantime, also reaching out to other members. Other members are possibly reaching out also to us. Basta kung ano man yung maging exact number namin eventually, Pinky, ang importante para sa akin is we again be a genuine minority, able to fully exercise our various roles.
But do you think you will be at least 4 members of the minority as it is now in the present Congress?
The more, the better. So again, whether we are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many, basta ang pinaka-importante ay tunay, no? Tunay. So if we are a true minority, a genuine minority, no matter how few or a little more, basta totoo kami, tunay, then we can be more effective. We can authentically fulfill our roles as a Senate minority.
But you and Senator Coco Pimentel, have you talked about who possibly could be the Senate minority leader? And siguro, Senator Risa, run us through the process, no, of who becomes minority kapag nagkaroon na po ng Senate President.
Okay. Well, hindi pa namin napag-usapang specifically iyon ni Sen Coco. As I mentioned, we've met just once so far. Pero as a member of the incoming 19th Congress Senate, alam ko is either yung isa sa amin ay tatakbo munang Senate President para pag hindi nahalal bilang Senate President ay magiging minority leader. O may iba pang route na mag-signify ako halimbawa at mag-signify ang sino pang gustong pumasok sa minority at the outset na hindi lalahok sa botohan para sa Senate President at from the get-go sasali na sa minority. And then those of us who will join the minority or form the minority, we will also make our decision to be finalized on the morning of the opening of session before the SONA, sino sa amin ang gagampan bilang Senate Minority Leader.
Who would you be comfortable as Senate President?
Oh, well, right now there are from 2 to 4 who are being talked about publicly as contenders. Ako naman, Pinky, whoever of them receives the widest support from the colleagues in the majority. As I mentioned, I can work with any senator or any Senate leader, lalo na sa mga common legislative initiatives at pati sa usapin ng pagtindig para sa independence ng Senate. Our own current Senate President, SP Soto, has led the Senate in many important moments to stand up for the independence of the institution at para magsalita ang Senado, isalita ang sense of the Senate about matters of national significance. So wala akong duda na kung sino ang gumanap bilang Senate President will have the weight of that history, that tradition sa kanyang mga balikat. I'm sure yung mga colleagues namin sa majority will not easily or will not depart from that tradition. At kami rin sa bubuing minorya, we will be watching and supporting to make sure na hindi rin bitawan o iwanan ng Senado yung napakagandang at dapat na tradisyong iyon.
Again, we need to take another short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. Our source today, Senator Risa Hontiveros. Senator, coming into the 19th Congress, given the chance, which committees would you like to lead?
Oh, I would love to continue chairing the Committee on Women. Alam mo, Pinky, hindi siya pinag-aagawang komite noon. But I'm so glad that in the last half decade, we've made something even more of it, building on what it has produced in the past para pumasa ng mas marami pang mga batas para sa kababaihan, mga bata, mga pamilyang Pilipino. And it's the home of some of the bills that I hope to continue to work on, including the SOGI Equality Bill. Of course, because of our current context, I'll continue to be an active member committees on health, on economic affairs. Actually, kahit anong komite, I guess, Pinky, given the challenges we face and the hopes our people continue to hold on to, should be a helpful or a useful committee.
Going back to the Committee on Health, if my memory serves me right, you headed that committee, and then at some point it went to Senator JV, and then lumipat po kay Senator
Yes.
Bongo. Tama ho ba?
Yes, nangyaring sa 17th Congress, I was the first chair of the Health Committee, and then it became Sen JV, and I continued to serve as his active vice chair. Naipasa po namin nung panahon niya yung Universal Healthcare Law. And then in the 18th Congress, naging si Sen Bongo.
Okay. Tell us, I guess, the bills that you want to pursue in the 19th Congress. What's most important to your priority bills?
Marami. In addition to the SOGI Equality Bill, yung Linga para kay Lolo at Lola Bill, which is that for the universal social pension of senior citizens, yung bills on rights and welfare of workers in the gig economy and the informal economy. Also, of course, yung walang kamatayang security of tenure bill, or the bill that will end ENDO and provide for security of tenure. At marami pang iba dun sa healthy buhay at hanap buhay agenda.
Can you tell us more about that pension, the bill on pension for senior citizens?
Yes. Yesterday, we passed on second reading a bill to double the current social pension for senior citizens from 500 to 1,000 pesos. Gusto po, and for all indigent senior citizens. So that is a step in the right direction. Pagpasok ng 19th Congress, I will refile my Linga para kay Lolo at Lola bill, which is for a full universal social pension for senior citizens. So to keep it indeed at the outset at 1,000 pesos, to include all senior citizens, not just those 65 years and up, but from 60 years old and up, whether indigent or not indigent. And then also for senior citizens already receiving pensions from SSS, GSIS, or PVAW, they should
I
also
see.
receive, yes, the
It's
senior
over and
pension.
above, yeah, pensions
Yes.
from other agencies. I wanted to ask you about that,
Oo.
Senator Risa, kasi alam naman po natin yung 500, napakaliit po na amount nun.
Kahit yung 1,000 ay napaka-modest pa rin, di ba? Kung tutuusin. So, it's only right, not just mathematically, pero in terms of a rights-based approach to pensions, na yung pensyon na nakukuha ng seniors sa mga contribution nila all their working lives, whether to PVAW or GSIS or SSS, that they should receive it upon retirement, upon reaching senior citizen age. Iba pa yung usapin ng senior citizen pension because that is a pension not as a working person, which our senior citizens have been all their lives, but a social pension because they have reached that age of senior citizenship. At ano naman ang dagdag na 1,000 piso, di ba, sa household or family or personal wallet nila every month. And in any case, any additional cash in the hands of people, bumabalik din sa buong lipunan natin because they'll spend it
Umiikot
to
din.
buy products and pay for umiikot sa ekonomiya at sa coffers ng gobyerno in the form of revenues for public spending. So it's a virtuous
Very
cycle.
important. Yeah, it's very important, Senator Risa, because madalas po talaga ay hindi napapansin yung plight ng mga senior citizens. I have
Yes.
one last question. Is there anything in the 18th Congress in terms of investigation in aid of legislation na gusto niyo pong balikan pagdating ng 19th Congress?
Actually, kahit itong linggo pa lang, susunod na linggo rather, Pinky, I'm still hoping against hope na ma-sponsor at ma-adopt ng Senado yung napakasiksik at matimbang na committee report ni Chair Dick sa Blue Ribbon Committee tungkol sa Pharmally. It's chock full of findings na titindigan ko rin talaga, especially in terms of overpriced PPE supplies and recommendations. Kasi sabi namin nga investigation in aid of legislation. Yung sana matapos pa namin next week. And of course, even moving into the 19th Congress, babantayan ko na yung na-adapt na nga na committee report ng aming Women Committee on the Pastilla scam, on POGO-related prostitution, on illegal detention and recruitment, at yung human trafficking will continue to be used even by the executive and constitutional bodies to further protect women and children, to improve our immigration services, and to make sure na yung mga buwis na dapat bayaran ay mapunta talaga sa gobyerno. And having mentioned that, thanks for asking, sana yung pag-chair din sa Blue Ribbon Committee ay patuloy na maging mahusay, lalo na sa susunod na 6 na taon.
Yan po ang tatanungin namin sa inyo pagpasok ng 19th Congress, especially the committee chairmanship. Senator Risa Hontiveros, good luck to you and congratulations again. And always maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Salamat, Pinky. Ingat.
And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.